Hello, ghost hunters and thrill seekers. Today we're embarking on a chilling journey through Australia's most haunted locations. From eerie prisons to ghost-infested asylums, join me as we uncover the tales of those who linger in the shadows. Let's dive into the supernatural. Welcome to Port Arthur, Tasmania, a place where beauty and horror are intricately intertwined. This historic site, once a penal colony, is now a hauntingly picturesque ruin that attracts visitors from all over the world, not just for its natural beauty and historical significance, but for the stories that linger in the air like the cold Tasmanian mist. Established in 1830 as a timber station, Port Arthur later evolved into one of the most dreaded convict settlements in the British Empire, housing the hardest of British and Irish criminals. The scars of brutal punishments and isolation still mark the ruins, and it's these remnants that whisper tales of despair and the unbroken human spirit. Imagine the echoes of the past, chains dragging the solitary silence of the punishment cells and the desperate cries that once pierced these cold walls. Visitors and staff alike report eerie encounters, apparitions in workhouses, disembodied voices near the old church, and even sightings of a former soldier still guarding the premises. The stark contrast between the serene landscapes and the chilling stories makes Port Arthur a captivating subject for anyone fascinated by the paranormal. It's not just a place of natural beauty, but a profound memorial to those who lived and died here under the harshest conditions imaginable. As we delve deeper into these ghostly tales, keep in mind the intense human history that shapes the hauntings of Port Arthur. Nestled in the small town of Junee, New South Wales, the Monte Cristo Homestead stands as a monument to Victorian elegance and a repository of chilling ghost stories. Built in 1885 by Christopher William Crawley, the homestead quickly became the social hub of the area. But today, it is far more renowned for its supernatural residents than its past social splendours. The grandeur of Monte Cristo masks a history of tragedy and unexplained occurrences. The tales are as varied as they are chilling, from the tragic death of a young child thrown down the stairs by an unseen force, to the maid who fell from the balcony, or the stable boy who burned to death on the property. Each story adds a layer to the eerie atmosphere that permeates the walls of this historic mansion. During my visit to Monte Cristo, the air seemed to thicken with the weight of unseen eyes. One of the most unsettling experiences occurred as we entered Mrs. Crawley's chapel. Known as the Lady of the House, Mrs. Crawley lived 23 years in mourning after her husband's death, rarely leaving her room. Her presence is said to be so strong that visitors report feeling overwhelmed by a sense of grief and despair. The legacy of the Crawley family and their enduring presence at Monte Cristo turns a visit into an encounter with the past. The homestead not only tells the story of its original inhabitants, but invites us to peer into the spectral world they possibly never left. As we continue to explore, remember, every shadow and whisper here might be steeped in a century-old legacy, reaching out through the veil of time. Our journey into the supernatural brings us to the imposing Fremantle prison in Western Australia. This towering structure of limestone walls, built by convict hands in the 1850s, served as a maximum security penitentiary until as recently as 1991. Its long history encapsulates tales of escape, punishment, and unexplained phenomena that many believe are indicative of lingering spirits. The stories of Fremantle are as numerous as its former inmates. The prison was home to some of the most notorious figures in Australian criminal history. The harsh conditions and tragic ends met by many who were incarcerated here seem to have left a spectral imprint on its cells and corridors. Visitors and tour guides regularly report chilling encounters, the clanging of cell doors, footsteps in deserted blocks, and distant whispers that echo through the halls. One of the most notorious spots within these walls is the solitary confinement block, where prisoners spent weeks in total darkness and silence. The psychological torture endured here was immense, and it's no wonder that this area is a hotbed for paranormal activity. During one of the night tours, participants experienced sudden temperature drops and captured EVP recordings that suggested the presence of former inmates still lingering in their lonely cells. As we delve deeper into the heart of Fremantle prison, each step takes us further into its troubled past. The prison also includes the gallows, the last used in Australia, where 44 people were executed. The grim aura of the execution chamber, combined with the stories of apparitions seen on the gallows, creates a palpable tension that is almost as tangible as the cold stone walls themselves. Exploring Fremantle Prison is like walking through a timeline of despair and defiance. The echoes of the past are almost tangible, as if every stone tells a story. It's a place where history and mystery meet, and where the past seems unwilling to be forgotten. Nestled in the old gold mining town of Beechworth, Victoria, lies the sprawling complex of the Beechworth Asylum, originally known as the Mayday Hills Lunatic Asylum. Opened in 1867, this institution was one of the largest psychiatric hospitals in Australia, home to thousands of patients who were often forgotten by society. The asylum's history is steeped in tales of sadness and mystery, making it a magnet for those fascinated by the paranormal. Over its 128 years of operation, more than 3,000 patients passed away within these walls, their lives marked by stories of hardship and the harsh treatments of the era. The asylum was a self-contained world, complete with farms, gardens, and a theatre, yet it was also a place of isolation and despair for many. It's said that the souls of former patients still roam the halls, perhaps unable to leave the site of their earthly trials. During my visit to Beechworth Asylum, the air was thick with the weight of untold stories. As we walked the abandoned wards, the silence was often broken by unexplained noises. Footsteps in empty corridors, doors creaking closed with no one in sight. In the Grevillea wing, where the most agitated patients were housed, some have reported hearing screams that chill the blood and shadows that move just beyond the corner of your eye. The most heart-wrenching tales come from the children's ward. Visitors often report seeing apparitions of children playing in the rooms or hearing laughter echo down the empty halls. These spirits, playful yet poignant, remind us of the innocent lives intertwined with the asylum's darker history. Beechworth Asylum serves as a somber reminder of the past and a beacon for those seeking to connect with the supernatural. Each visit uncovers new layers of its haunted legacy, inviting us to look deeper into the shadows of history. Our final stop is the Q Station in Manly, New South Wales. This historic site served as the quarantine station for Sydney from the 1830s to 1984, where ships carrying passengers with suspected contagious diseases docked, and their occupants were isolated to prevent the spread of illness. Today, transformed into a hotel and conference centre, it remains steeped in history, with many of its original buildings preserved, and according to some, many of its original guests as well. Throughout its operational years, the Q Station witnessed the arrival of thousands of souls from across the seas, many of whom never left, succumbing to the very diseases they were quarantined for. Their stories are etched into the very fabric of the place, with reports of ghostly figures seen wandering the beach at night, cries heard echoing through the hospital, and faces appearing in the windows of the old morgue. During my night tour of the Q Station, the most profound experiences occurred around the original hospital building and the morgue, where the presence felt almost overwhelming. The sensation of being watched was constant, and the chilling breeze that swept through even the stillest of nights did nothing to dispel the eeriness. One cannot help but feel a connection to the past, a whisper of the old quarantine days when fear and hope mingled in these very halls. It's not just the tales of those who passed through in sickness that haunt Q Station, but also those of the staff and caretakers who spent decades working within its confines, many of whom reported eerie experiences that they couldn't explain. From sudden cold spots to fleeting shadows, the paranormal activity here offers a tangible link to the past, inviting visitors to ponder the lives that once unfolded in this isolation. As the sun sets over Q Station, one can't help but feel enveloped by the history and mystery surrounding this place. Each whispering wave seems to bring tales from the past, each building a keeper of secrets. It's a reminder of the delicate veil between yesterday and today, between the physical and the ethereal. From tragic pasts to ghostly presences, these locations remind us that some stories never truly end. Thanks for joining me on this haunted journey across Australia. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own ghostly experiences in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows.